Hey, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, call hello, Yahweh, Shimi al-Shab, Shimi Kodash. Hey, double honors. Once again, go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders who take no stone, who continue to push his truth out there on the highways and byways, not hidden in the corners. All right, that's now I'm out with the DC camp. Also, salutations. Go out to the Akim out there on the highways and byways across the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth, trying to wake up the remaining hopefully elect. All right, this is Nama with the DC camp, and here we have, as it reads, so-called black couple sues after they say home valuation rises nearly 300,000 when shown by white colleague. All right, well, there's a plus and a minus to this. Of course, we're dealing with the negative. I'm just going to read the story. It's another way to look at this, which could have benefited them, but I understand where they're coming from. But the thing is, when I tell you what I'll try to explain it to you, they may regret what they did. But anyway, this is something that's been going on. Of course, we're talking about redlining for Jake for generations, dealing with this shit. And these are two highly educated Jakes, but just goes to show you it doesn't matter. This is all goes so far back. You know, this is spiritual warfare, as we say. This is hatred on another scale. Well, let's go ahead and just read it. It says Nathan Conley, that's his name, he's a professor, and Shania Mott, she's also a professor, are suing an appraiser and a mortgage lender after their home is estimated to be worth $472,000. After the couple removed any indications that so-called black people live there, a second appraiser valued the home at $750,000, almost a net gain of $300 large. Ain't that some shit? Anyway, so this couple just up the road from me, about 35 miles or so in Baltimore, I'm in DC, alleged that the housing appraisal they received was unfairly low due to their race. Of course it was, in violation of the Fair Housing Act, after a second appraisal returned a result nearly $300,000 higher. Nathan Conley and Shania Mott filed suit against 2020 Valuations, its owner Shane Lanham, and LoanDepot.com on Monday, alleging the defendants' 2020 Valuations and its owner discriminated against plaintiffs by dramatically undervaluing their home in an appraisal because of plaintiffs' race and their home's location adjacent to a black census block, notwithstanding that it is also located within homeland and affluent, mostly Edomite neighborhood. All right. And LoanDepot.com discriminated against them by relying on that appraisal and denying their refinance loan. According to the complaint, Conley and his wife are professors at Johns Hopkins University who applied to Loan Depot to refinance the mortgage on their 4-bedroom home in Homeland, Maryland, a predominantly white Baltimore neighborhood. Lanham's company 2020 Valuations performed their appraisal for Loan Depot and returned a valuation that was more than $75,000 below the conservative estimate of valuation which Loan Depot had given the couple, according to the lawsuit. Loan Depot denied the couple the mortgage refinance because of the low valuation, according to the complaint. Plaintiffs were shocked at the appraisal and recognized that the low valuation was because of racial discrimination, and they proved it. But we're going to see you're in this devil's fucked up laws and rules and all that shit. You never know what, you know. It says they hold this to their Loan Depot loan officer and challenge the appraisal in a detailed letter. All right. Gabriel Diaz, an attorney for the couple, told CNN the lawsuit represents his client's point of view. Conley and Mott later reapplied with another lender and whitewashed their home. This included removing photos of their family from the home and having a white colleague present the property to the appraiser. The suit claims this valuation came back at $750,000, more than $250,000 higher than 2020 valuation's appraisal of $472,000. According to the lawsuit, Lanham allegedly used an appraisal method where he compared the couple's home to properties in a majority black local area instead of the rest of homeland. See what they were trying to do? Wow, that means there's no end to this devil's deceit. It says defendant Lanham's decision to geographically limit the area from which he selected comparable sales reflected his belief that because of their race, Dr. Conley and Dr. Mott did not belong in homeland, an attractive and predominantly white neighborhood. Of course, this has been always the case. You don't belong here, no matter what your income level is. It's not that they hate you, they hate us. And that a home with black homeowners located adjacent to a predominantly black area is worth less than if it were in the whiter areas that he deemed the heart of homeland. Jonathan Fine, VP of Public Relations with Loan Depot, told CNN the company strongly opposes housing discrimination. While appraisals are performed independently by outside expert appraisal firms, all participants in the home finance process must work to find ways to contribute to eradicating bias, Fine said. The couple alleged that Lanham's dramatically lower valuation reflected his beliefs that a black family did not genuinely belong in homeland and could not be the owners of a higher valued home. See, that's always the excuse. Oh, you doing something illegal. I remember the late trumpeter Miles Davis. I remember there was an incident where I believe he lived in Malibu, out there on the west coast of California. And I know there was a story that he had to have permission, even though he's an acclaimed jazz musician at this point, well known. There was no dispute on how he earned his money. I remember watching this report, and it said that he had to have permission in order to drive his Ferrari. This is what this man had worked for, so-called honest profession. And then there was years earlier where he was beaten by the police because they didn't think he belonged. I forget what the venue he was working. I don't know if it was in New York. I can't remember. He was a bloody mess, all because they didn't think. And of course, situations like this, you know, Edomite, so-called white person comes along and validate. Yeah, he works here. You know, that's when, you know, it takes them to validate you. It's like, you don't understand, you're still in captivity. That's what we're trying to tell Jake. You know, we're out there on the highways and byways telling you this is just an illusion. All right. Jake don't want to understand. He can't see that. He's fallen for this civil rights BS, this bullshit, this Emancipation Proclamation shit, and doesn't understand what really happened. It's an illusion. It was a lie. Emancipate does not mean what you were taught. All right. Let's see. Let me pick up where I left off. They challenged the appraisal. The couple is seeking damages and relief from Lanham 2020 evaluations and Loan Depot for violations of the Fair Housing Act, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, the Civil Rights Act of 1866, and Maryland Fair Housing laws. All right, according to the complaint, the couple's lawsuit is the latest example of the difficulties and discrimination some black homeowners say they face. Last year, a black California couple filed a lawsuit in federal court in San Francisco, arguing that racial discrimination played a role in the low valuation of their home. Tanisha Tate Austin and her husband became suspicious when the Northern California home they spent years renovating was valued by an appraiser far lower than they expected. When they asked for a second opinion, a white friend pretended to own their home, and they removed all artwork and photos that could show that it belonged to a black family. The new appraisal for their home in Marion County was more than $1.4 million and nearly $500,000 higher than the previous estimate. See, so they weren't the only ones here in Maryland. This happened out on the West Coast too. See? Since earlier this year, the Department of Justice filed a statement of interest in the case, which is still pending. And in Indiana last year, when Carlette Duffy concealed that she was black, she told CNN her home's appraisal value more than doubled. So you see what's going on here, and they're making it apparently clear. But I wonder what the ruling is going to be. Are they going to try to say Jake was deceptive in their dealings? Really? Hey, it's a possibility. You know, this mother, hey, Isaiah 10:1. Let's get it. This is what you're dealing with. Don't matter your so-called education, all of that bullshit you were, raised to believe is going to make a difference. No. You're in someone's kingdom that hates you. All right. In Isaiah 10:1 says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed." What do you think that means? Turn aside the needy from judgment. The needy in this case, the poor in this case, are Israel. And to take away the right from the poor, my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And this has all been nothing but how to cheat Jake. There's another case out in, it's called, what is it? Out in California, at the, well, not the turn of the last century, but in the 20s, this family, all this thing, let me see if I can find it, because I want to read it verbatim. I'll come back to this. Let me see, it's down here somewhere. But this is a pattern here. Let's see. Oh, crap. Let me see. Let's see. Let's see if it'll come up. I'm trying to short now. I can't remember the whole. Here it is. June 28th. Let's get this one. What they did almost 100 years ago. This is California seized land from a black family 98 years ago. Officials just voted to return it, and they have since done so. It's called Bruce's Beach. I couldn't remember the name. It was a thriving resort community for black families when the state took the land under the guise of eminent domain in 1924. See? You don't want us around you, yet when we get our own, you take that from us too. And that was the whole thing people forget. After so-called emancipation, a lot of settlements, towns, etc. were built by our people just so we wouldn't be terrorized. And what happened? They were all destroyed for various reasons. Usually it had to do with our people supposedly, or especially the men, violating white womanhood, as they put it. So in this case, 98 years later, they returned the property because what? It says, I'm going to skip down here to the second paragraph, and this is from NBCnews.com. It says, descendants of Willa and Charles Bruce, who purchased the land for $1,225 in 1912. So it's been more than 100 years since they bought it, 110 to be exact now, and built it into a seaside resort for black families, will retake ownership of Bruce's Beach in the city of Manhattan Beach. The land had been taken from them in 1924 under the guise of eminent domain. For us as a family, of course, keeping them from generating wealth, establishing generational wealth. That's what I was trying to say. All right, which has also been a method of these pieces of shit, these so-called white people. So when you hear motherfuckers talking about our people being lazy, yeah, it pisses you off. All right. For us as a family, this had a wonderful beginning, and then it turned into a tragic story for my family. Anthony Bruce, the great-great-grandson of the Bruces, told NBC News. Back in the day, prejudice was rampant. It still is. And unfortunately, my family was the victim of a hate crime and the prejudice that was around during those times. And Jake has to come to the realization, you make statements like this, and maybe he's just, but why would you sugarcoat it? Why would you even attempt to downplay it? That's a problem with Jake. So now that this is finally taking place for us as a family, we are greatly relieved, and we are so thankful that this has made such an impact on our nation. There you go. The resort included a lodge, cafe, dance hall, and dressing tents with bathing suits for rent on land, and that now houses the Los Angeles County Lifeguard Training Center. The family remained steadfast despite acts of vandalism of visitors' vehicles and an attack by the Ku Klux Klan. When it was clear the Bruces would not give in, the city seized the property and condemned the surrounding areas, claiming it would build a park in the area. It was left undeveloped for more than 30 years. They just wanted them out of there. Just wanted them out. Gone. The agreement returns the land to Marcus and Derek Bruce, Anthony Bruce's parents and the great-grandsons of Willa and Charles. They said they intend to lease the land back to L.A. County at $413,000 a year, so the county lifeguard facilities at the site can continue operation. I wonder what is going to happen now. Because see, that's actually very smart. Therefore, they can't, because I was thinking they were going to just come at them, well, you owe this and taxes and all this shit. But, they're still going to get some money because, they got to pay for that, their taxes regardless. But we'll see. It's something going to come about this, because you got to remember, it says never trust thine enemy, and we don't know what's in their charters or their bylaws and all this shit. Never trust thine enemy. It says other terms in the agreement also dictate that the family can sell the property back to the county for no more than $20 million, which likely will take place. So for all that 110 years, they were forced to give it up in 1924. So they're banking on this family giving it back to them at 20 mil. You see how sly and slick this devil is? You see? Now let's get back to, whoops. This is the original one. I'll get back to that. Let's find the other one. Here it is. As soon as it loads, just a second here. Of course, this is them outside. There you go. And once they got news of this the first time, they were on, I guess, the way to Florida. Because I was looking at the newscast of this, and I'm like, damn. And once they got the news that their home was appraised the first time so low, they were like, well, what the hell? And she, at the time, they were going down to Florida on a vacation. And I think she was also diagnosed at that time with cancer. That's why her hair is like that. So it's like, shit. The bad news never ends. But that's Jake, But continuing on, just showed you a pattern of what these devils have done, all right, and continue to do. But here's my point. I said at the onset that I think, depending on whether you want to play the game or not, this is what someone else has said in another article about the same subject. Here it is. This was a commenter, and I thought about this. Same couple in Baltimore, and this is TTC. It says they will regret this when they get their new property tax bill. I always want them to under-appraise my home. The market will dictate what it sells for, and believe you me, over the last 6 months, buyers are bringing money to the table if it doesn't appraise. But if you're not actually selling, keep the appraisal amount down so your taxes stay lower. See, that was my point. That was the only thing I was worried about. Because see, if you see these devils, they know how to play these games. Jake doesn't. All right. Unless, of course, you have friends like they did, and this is be a rare instance. We pulled up 2 more. One on the West Coast, another in Indiana, that they did the same thing these people did. And that's how they exposed you. They said, no, this wasn't about, this was, you happen to be in this neighborhood, adjacent to this neighborhood in this case, so you got a low appraisal. No, this is about race, pure and simple. And I don't see how the fuck they're going to wiggle out of this, but stranger things have happened. But in any case, this is what we're dealing with. This is why we say, when we say Micah 2 and 10, when we go to Hebrews 11th chapter and 13th chapter, we should be in that pilgrim mindset. Chronicles of Riddick, what my man, what did he say, Vin Diesel, he said, I'm just passing through, but the thing is, and it's hard to do, I'm not going to say it's easy, it's, Jake put in the work, or so they think, and they want to enjoy the fruits of their labors. But you got to understand that, again, you're in somebody's kingdom that hates you. You were not here to enjoy ourselves. We're here being here. We were brought over here as a punishment. We are still under those curses. And fortunately, our people are waking up. To give you a number, a percentage, I can't. But it's nowhere near as many as should be, I can guarantee you that. But even that number is making people nervous. You're seeing things speed up as far as what's happening in the world now, because this devil, as it says in Revelation 12 and 12, he knows he has but a short time. So he's trying to establish this new world order. All right? People aren't, and this is the spirit, waking certain people up. And they notice, they see these prophecies coming to the forefront. All right? Jumping off the pages, as we say. So, this devil, that's why you got to have your head on a swivel now. Be very conscious of where you are at all times. Right, because there's been a growing number of shootings, and we know how this devil, this the real red man, the Edomite, gets down. Things don't go his way, people got to die. All right. So with that, shalom.